The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine?
You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to Ask the Treksperts. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to do kind of a follow-up to something we did months ago when we talked about one-shot species in Star Trek episodes that we would have liked to have seen return. And today we're going to talk about one-shot characters we'd like to have seen return. We both kind of felt like there were more of these than there were for one-shot species, so we both came up with a list of 5. Like the other video, we don't know what we wrote down, so there could be some crossover. We don't know. We'll find out. We're going to count down each of ours 5 to 1, and it should be fun and interesting. And you think about one-shot characters that you really like that you didn't get to see return as well. Sarah, would you like to go first?
Sure, I'll go first, because I'll get this one out of the way.
Okay, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Apollo.
Apollo. Who mourns for Adonais?
Who mourns for Adonais?
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I love that character.
Really?
You probably never realized this.
No, we've never had this
never
discussion.
Thought about it, but he's awesome.
Why? He's the largest womanizer in TOS.
So is Khan.
Oh,
and
well,
everybody kind of likes him.
I don't know. Somehow he is a little cooler about it. I don't know.
Okay, Apollo. He's a god.
No, he is a god.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
He does the lightning bolt thing, and I really think it would have been cool for him to come back.
What more could you have possibly have done with that character?
Oh, I don't know. There are other TV shows where you have Greek gods on all the time, and I think it would be cool to have somebody who is the last existing Greek god actually come back and make a return.
Yeah, what was neat about that episode is the fact that they didn't they didn't change their minds halfway through. It wasn't one of those things where like you think maybe it is and then it's not.
Yeah.
They went all the way with it. It's Apollo.
Yeah.
And I mean
yeah.
there's a science fiction thing to it. He's got an apparatus like everybody in TOS does, but
yeah, he had this temple that gave him his power.
He's not really a god, but he was the reason we have an Apollo on Earth, and that was really cool.
No, I think
I still don't know what else you would have done with it.
Most of it is concept. I just grasped onto the concept. I love the concept. And I kind of wish that, instead of just disappearing, he could have gone off somewhere else and, maybe one of those other TOS Earth-like planets and tried to start it all over again.
That might have been really interesting. It would have been really cool if he'd gone to one of the Earth-like planets we'd seen already.
Sure. Go to the Nazi planet.
Yeah,
Have all the Nazis worship Apollo or something.
Yeah, or the gangster planet.
That'd be even funnier.
Yeah, because it's like we're gangsters and we worship Apollo.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Dathon.
Dathon
from Darmok.
Yeah.
That's one I totally could have seen, and because you've got these people, and we talked about the Temerians on that other video we were talking about, where we would have liked to see them return. But Dathon specifically because he had such an interesting relationship with Picard.
He did.
And he does survive that, right?
Oh, no.
Or does he die at the end? It's been a while since I've seen it. I forgot. So he dies.
He
dies.
But
okay, so that's rough because that was too nice of an ending. You wouldn't have wanted to ruin that. But had he not died, I would have liked to have seen him return. Sorry, I just forgot. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe the species more than the character, but such an interesting character too.
Yeah. No. I
kind of the face of his species in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been really interesting to see him or one of the other Temerians come back and seeing them having to talk in metaphor again. But maybe as time's gone on, they're starting to learn a little bit how to talk like humans. You know what I mean?
I just think
it'd be kind of interesting.
Star Trek people all should have started talking like Dathon. That's what I mean. By Enterprise, we're just all in metaphor.
Wow. which becomes a major continuity problem. All right, what's your number 4?
Okay. My number 4 is Coalrami.
Coalrami? That's awesome!
Zach Dorn from Peak Performance.
Peak Performance, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. You're totally right.
Yeah, he totally should have.
Hang on, we have to do this.
Yeah. No, totally. Like DS9.
Yeah.
He should have gone there and been like, okay, I've learned my lesson, so I'm not quite so pompous, but, here's Cisco. Let's figure out how to get DS9 ready for the war.
Oh, yeah, and just do another peak performance again, kind of. That's cool. I never thought we gave the Zactorans nearly enough screen time.
No, they came up twice.
They came up twice. We saw them again in, was it Redemption?
It was Redemption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that guy was cool too. What was that, Dakachin?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I always thought he was really cool also.
Yeah.
I liked them both. That was just a neat race we didn't never do nearly enough.
Yeah.
I was
they were
like,
all just full of
the
themselves.
Bolians are everywhere, but the Zactorans are like...
Yeah. So, maybe they seem cooler because they were, so in the background and you only saw them a couple times, but...
It was neat that Coalrami got that little character. Well, that's true. We did see him every now and again, I think, in the background, maybe. But it was cool that he got that little character arc where he was kind of taken down a peg.
Yeah.
Where he's really full of himself. And then, he's a cool character.
Well, almost the same thing happened with Dakachin, though. I mean, they
That's
go
true.
to because he was in charge of that old shipyard thing where broken, busted ships were.
Well, and he wouldn't even cooperate until Troy showed up.
And so he goes, okay, well, this is where it is, except the ship's missing. And so he's like, oh, well, this doesn't happen under my watch.
This is just what we do as Zactorans, apparently.
Yeah.
They're all pompous and arrogant, and then we take them down a peg.
Exactly. So what about your number 4?
My number 4 is Quinn.
Oh, I almost wrote him.
Quinn, yeah, and we, by the way, we didn't say this earlier, but Sarah and I, when we were writing the list, made the decision to go ahead and include characters who died that we would have liked to have seen stay alive. And I'm not going to say that the Death Wish is a bad ending by any means.
No.
I really like Death Wish, and part of the coolness of that episode is the fact that you do get a Q who gets to commit suicide. Spoiler alert. And Quinn was a great character, I thought. I really liked him.
Yeah.
And is one of those characters where, we've got Q, we don't get any other really great recurring Qs, and it would have been neat, because I liked that guy, to have seen him again. It would have been cool if, somehow or rather, that guy had been Voyager's Q.
Yeah,
so that instead
made
of
such a great Q.
Instead of Delancey, and I love Delancey, but I didn't like most of what they did with Delancey in Voyager, with the exception of his part in Death Wish. But Death Wish is not about him; it's about Quinn.
Yeah.
And what if Quinn had been Voyager's Q?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Quinn kept coming back,
Yeah.
and Quinn became Janeway's Q.
What if
Very cool.
Quinn had actually requested asylum aboard Voyager, and instead of dying, had remained part of the crew
and stayed human?
And stay human.
That would have been even better.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
I just liked his character.
And he could have just been kind of in the background where he didn't have to be in every episode or anything, but he showed up every now and again, kind of like Lon Suter, except not evil.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
But anyway, I really liked that guy a lot.
Yeah.
The casting helped, but I mean, it was really good. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, number 3.
Number 3.
1. From
1.
Trulane.
Heck yes, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get to the end of that episode, and they're
He
like,
dies.
he's gonna stay on, and we're gonna have another Borg on the ship, and then he dies, and it doesn't happen.
And he was so cool. I mean, I don't know if it was just the actor they got to play him, who was awesome, or what they did with his character arc, or what, but just, it's magnetism there.
Imagine had he stayed aboard the ship, and I mean, eventually it kind of became a crew with a bunch of Borg on it anyway, so it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. I couldn't imagine that guy having to put on that whole rig every week, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But imagine if he had been a regular, or at least as much of a regular as the Borg kids were, as E-Chip and the other guys were, and what if we had seen, him and Seven of Nine's relationship really flourish. He, in a lot of ways, is kind of Seven's son,
Yeah.
And it could have been kind of interesting. Of course, she's still so relatively young as, a Borg who just got her humanity back, that suddenly putting her in the position of mother for a long time may not have been quite the way to go.
Although I could see it, because I think it would have helped her development quite a bit. Because, she's learning the lesson of humanity from Janeway, but sort of resisting it along the way.
And then she's passing what she's learning down to 1.
She's passing what she learns down to 1, and so since she has somebody under her charge, she has to grow a lot more herself.
Split the middle of what I could have seen would have been one being around for a character arc. I mean, not for an episode arc.
Sure.
Where maybe what they do in that episode is stretched out to where there's some other subplots that happen in about 4 or 5 episodes, and then we kill them at the end of that, and so it takes longer for the Borg to show up and all that.
Yeah. No, that would have been awesome.
Would have been nice to have gotten him for a while. My number 3 was the same. Also 1.
Oh, okay.
Also 1. I love 1.
Yeah, okay.
Couldn't help it.
My number 2
was
the Romulan commander in Balance of Terror. Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you don't mean once, you mean like 5 more times.
I mean like 50,000 more
Of course, he dies too.
Yeah, he dies.
And there's another one of those things where the death is the point.
He and Kirk had such amazing chemistry.
Fantastic.
And you're watching this whole movie and nothing happens. I mean, they're
episode.
like Yeah, this whole episode, and they're going back and forth, but there aren't really, it's not a head-to-head battle like a lot of the ones you see in DS9.
That's right.
It's just they're trying to outmaneuver each other.
It's what we got with Khan and Kirk.
Yeah.
I don't believe they're ever on screen together.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I don't think they are.
I mean, they don't even see each other until the very last, right before Mark Leonard, pushes the button to destroy his ship.
At least we got Sarek. At least we got Mark Leonard in a bunch of repeat episodes later as Sarek.
That guy is why the Romulans stayed on. Because Balance of Terror was the first appearance of the Romulans.
And he was the first Romulan. And he's the epitome of that species.
Oh, he was awesome as it. Yeah.
And it's so sad that he doesn't have a name, because in Trek Club and stuff, I can't ask trivia about him very easily.
Yeah, it's the male Romulan commander, and then the female Romulan
from
commander.
the Enterprise Incident.
Yeah.
She's really
good
great
too. Yeah. So that was my number.
TOS Unnamed Romulan. Some of the best characters in the shows, and we don't hear them come up a whole lot just because they don't have names. If only they had names, we would hear about them more often. But I mean, Mark Leonard's Romulan was amazing. Anyway, I can't believe I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
But my number 2 was also a TOS character, and that is Trulane, the Squire of Gothos.
Sure.
Trulane is one of those characters that people talk about a lot as being upset about not seeing him come back just because Q was based on him. And I never wanted to see, to find out that Q and Trulane were related in any way. It doesn't really make any sense with how they set up the Q. The Q is based on Trulane, but they're not the same thing. Yeah. What would have been neat, though, is if they were just really similar species, and we actually had an episode with Trulane and Q, and they were just different species. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen that, but I would have liked to have seen just Trulane come back again like Mudd did, because I think that it would have been really easy to do another TOS Trulane episode.
Sure. Maybe not, bring them back a lot, but I could certainly.
But I could see one more.
Yeah.
But I could especially see it later. And of course that they brought that actor back for other things. I don't remember his name right now, but I mean, he was one of the 3 Klingons, one of the 3 big TOS Klingons, and we saw him again in DS9, if I remember right. I think I think he was one of the big 3.
Yeah.
What is your number 1?
Darmok.
Oh, Darmok. Okay.
Captain Dathan.
I figured.
Yeah. I just love that character to death, and he and Picard I just love seeing them on screen together, and I wish that could have happened a couple more times. Had some more interaction with the Temerians, and it was just sad that he had to die.
It's another one of those things, though, where that episode would not have had the impact that it did had he not died.
No,
so
that's
it's
true.
hard to imagine him coming back.
Yeah, maybe the ghost of Captain Dathan.
Before I give my number 1, I want to mention a conversation Sarah and I had earlier where we were talking about some characters who they did bring back, and then it turned out to be a bad idea.
Yeah.
And the big one I was thinking of was Hugh.
Yeah.
From Iborg, who came back in Descent, which is not a great episode anyway, and he comes back and it just kind of breaks a lot of the coolness of what they did in Iborg, and I have to try to forget Descent when I watch Iborg because it kind of ruins some things.
Yeah. Well, it's like they, with a couple of species that they bring back, where, like 8472, they have this great giant arc, and then they bring them back one more time, in the flesh?
Yeah.
And
just to make them lamer.
Yeah. It's a species that you really want to see on screen one more time until they do it.
I understood what they were trying to do with Hugh. The idea is that he was he was upset and was begrudging the crew of the Enterprise because he thought that they did this great thing for him, and then they messed up the Borg. The problem is it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The whole he's an individual, so he messes up the whole Borg collective. Because guess what? Every time you assimilate somebody, they're an individual. Yeah. That never made any sense to me at all, and so it just messed with my brain, and I didn't really like it. I was also thinking about Kalar, who did come back one more time, and then they killed her, and I hated that because I loved that character and would have liked to have seen her be a recurring TNG character who popped up 6, 7, 8 times and was, Worf's mate, who we saw a lot. Yeah. But once again, the way she dies is really interesting and does a lot for Worf. So.
Well, and then there are other characters who you see once and you love them, but you really wouldn't want to see them again because they were done such justice in the episode they were in.
Absolutely.
Like that one guy that Janeway kind of falls in love with.
We were talking about that earlier too.
Counterpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he just has such a good role in that. He and Janeway just play off of each other so well. But then there's the betrayal, and Voyager goes on, gets out of the mess, but they leave in such a cool place that you don't want to see him again.
I almost put him down, and then I thought, no, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I would be really surprised if you didn't guess my number 1. Okay. Surely you know what I'm going to say.
Berlinghoff Rasmussen?
Berlinghoff Rasmussen.
Yeah.
Berlinghoff Rasmussen was from my probably favorite episode of TNG. I don't think it's anyone else's favorite, but it's mine. Called A Matter of Time, where we've got Berlinghoff Rasmussen played by the great Matt Frewer. And a lot of it's just, it's Matt Frewer, you know what I mean? Kind of Jim Carrey before Jim Carrey in a lot of ways, and but he's got his own thing, you know what I mean? Like, he gets that rap, but it's not fair because he's definitely got it. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Matt Frewer was, the biggest thing that some of our subscribers would probably know of is Watchmen. He was Moloch in Watchmen, and but he's been a lot. He was in Eureka. He's been in a lot of things lately also. And anyway, Matt Frewer plays Berlinghoff Rasmussen in A Matter of Time, and he's this guy from the 22nd century who shows up and claims to be from a later time. And what he's really trying to do is, again, spoiler warning, what he's really trying to do is steal a bunch of technology on the Enterprise to take back to the 22nd century and invent one every year and get really rich and famous. And he's a thief, and he pretends to be an inventor. The reason I would have liked to have seen him come back, besides the fact that he was just like brimming with charisma, is he would have been perfect for Enterprise. How cool would that have been? Because the thing is, Enterprise, because you know, it was Berman and Braga, they were always thinking TNG anyway. It seemed like a lot of times they just missed making TNG, and that's why the last episode is what it is. And of course, I don't like it, but I mean that's why the last episode is a lot more about TNG than it is about Enterprise. Like, and this is the reason that they did Sung, which actually worked really well. And so I'm just thinking, if you guys are like so missing TNG and wanting to set up TNG stuff, why not a Berlinghoff Rasmussen episode in the 22nd century where he's from?
Yeah, kind of a prequel. You know what happened before A Matter of Time.
Yeah. I'm not sure how interesting it could have been, but
I don't know. But maybe Archer runs into him, or maybe some events lead up to him finding that time ship that he found.
One thing Enterprise didn't do a whole lot of were and you got this in other series where you got you know, episodes that aren't, you know, all about the big captain of the ship, where they could do like kind of more background things, where maybe somebody like, because a lot of the characters that we like on that show never got enough screen time anyway. So like, you know, what if Hoshi or Reed or somebody you know, went back to Earth and we were just following them on, you know, their vacation? They run into Berlinghoff Rasmussen, and the thing is, you make it in such a way where you don't have to have seen A Matter of Time. But if you know who it is and you know what you're looking at, it's that much cooler.
I kind of wish they had done more nods like that throughout Enterprise.
Because it seems like a lot of the nods they did were kind of obvious nods. Sometimes they did some neat and subtle ones. Every now and then they would just kind of do a name drop, and it would be kind of cool. But like, why not? You know, and I'm sure they just didn't think of it. But it's like, this is the one really cool, charismatic character who actually was from the 22nd century, which is where you're making this show. Anyway, I love Berlinghoff Rasmussen, so I could not help that.
Absolutely.
But anyway, that's our list of one-shot characters that we would have liked to have seen return. Leave your comments about one-shots that maybe you thought of that we didn't think of, and we'd love to hear from you there. Also, if there's anything you'd like us to talk about in the future, or episodes you'd like us to review, I think we're going to try to do an episode review next time. We're going to try really hard. And leave that in the comments. And thanks a lot for watching Ask the Treksperts. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
See you next time.
The best is yet to come.
The